All right, so yeah, I can't show you all the tech um, needs per se, right? But I can show you what um,
Welcome to the Combat Kenpo Fighting
they deal
Academy's
with,
Black
right?
Belt and Instructor Distance Training course. It is through this course that you will learn all of the tech.
Now, this is your basic opening, which deals with.
Welcome to the Combat Kenpo Fighting Academy's Black Belt and Instructor Distance Training course. It is the first topic we'd like to cover is stance technique.
So that covers stances.
Now we're going to cover some of the basic blocks used in our fighting system.
That covers blocks.
Now we'd like to talk about some of the basic hand techniques used in our fighting system.
That covers punches.
At this point, we would like to discuss the basic punch strikes of our fighting system. At this time, we'd like to discuss the kicks that are used in our fighting system.
Kicks.
Now the first defense against a right lead punch.
Right lead punch.
This next technique is the defense against a choke from the front.
Choke from the front.
This next technique is a defense of a choke from behind.
Choke from behind.
This first technique is a defense against a left lead punch.
Left lead punch.
This next technique is a defense against a straight right punch.
Straight right punch.
In this variation of a defense from a punch from the front,
punch from the front.
This next variation on a defense of a straight punch is a little more.
Straight punch.
This next variation of a defense of a punch from the front,
punch from the front.
This next technique is a defense against a lapel grab.
Lapel grab.
This next technique is a variation on the defense against a lapel grab.
Another lapel
This next
grab.
technique is a defense of a choke from behind.
Choke from behind.
This next technique is an advanced defense against a punch.
Punch.
This next technique is a defense against the punch that involves the outward-inward block. This next technique is a defense against a right straight punch. This next defense is a defense against a right punch. In this next defense against a punch, we're going to use a slip as we did in the previous technique. This next technique is defense against arm wrist and attack from the front. You're in your ready stance. Your opponent comes at you. This next technique is a variation of the defense against an arm rush and attack. This next technique is defense against an arm lock from behind. This next technique is a more advanced variation of the previous defense against an arm lock from behind. This next technique is a variation on the defense of a choke from behind. So your opponent This next technique is a variation of the choke from behind. Okay, this next technique is a defense against a setup. Now, a setup is when your opponent. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a setup. Another type of setup that's commonly used is a shoulder grab. Okay, this next technique is defense against an arm lock from behind. This next technique is a defense from a grab from behind. This next technique is a variation of the defense of a grab from behind. This final technique is a defense from behind in which your arms are pinned. This next technique is a defense against a shoulder grab.
Now that was probably your orange belt techniques there, right? This here is, let's see, I think it goes orange, then to blue, or purple, right?
This next technique is a variation of the defense from a shoulder grab. So you're attacking. This next technique is defense of a push from behind. Now when you get This next technique is a variation of a shove from behind. This next technique is a defense against a sucker punch. Now this would be a sucker punch that's initiated. This next technique is a defense against a wrist grab. So, this next technique is a variation on the defense of a wrist grab. So, this next technique is another variation on the defense against a wrist grab. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a wrist grab. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a shoulder. This next technique is a defense against a shoulder grab. This next technique is a defense against a punch from the side. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a choke from behind. This next technique is a defense against a two-handed push from. This next technique is a defense against a swing from a club. This next technique is a more advanced defense against a downward swing with a club. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a downward club swing. This next technique is defense against a downward club swing.
Now, if you notice, they deal with certain types of attacks, right? Now, if you want to modify that, say the person swings towards you, you have to come up with that on your own, but this gives you a basic idea of what you might can do, right? Now, if someone swings towards your body, right, from a vertical plane, right, or a horizontal plane, right, say they're swinging horizontally towards you, you might need to develop your own techniques there, but these are guidelines where you might can do that. Now, if someone's swinging a club horizontally towards you, you might could jump back as they're swinging the club, right, and avoid the hitting part of the club, right, and then as they if they were to try to swing back, block them with a outside inside block, right, to the arm, right, as they swing past, right, and catch them to where they can't swing back, right. So you jump to get out the way of the horizontal swing, right, and then you jump back to where you were using a outside inside block to block them, right, with both arms, right, and catch their arm and then grab their wrist at the same level, right, and disarm them with a knee to the wrist as well, and you have disarmed them, right, for example, right.
This next technique is a variation of the downward club swing defense that we learned in the previous technique. This next technique is a defense against a knife attack.
So here we're going to a knife attack.
This next technique is a variation on the defense against a knife attack. This next technique is a variation on defense against a knife attack. This next technique is defense against a downward swing with a knife. Your attacker comes in with his downward swing. This next technique is a defense against a stabbing attack with a knife. This next technique is a variation on the defense against a stabbing knife attack. This next technique is a defense against an attacker with a gun.
So now they are going to a gun technique, but with a gun, the person has to want to bring you in and not shoot you in cold blood, right? If they're going to shoot you in cold blood, the only one you can call on is Jesus and the God that raised Jesus from the dead to help you, right? Like I said before, Isaiah said, "No weapon formed against us shall prosper." If you believe that, that means from COVID all the way up to the neutron bomb, right? Whatever they come up with here, God already knows it and can save you from it, right? Even if they kill you with it, Your death alone does not mean your spirit ever dies, right? Though your body can die because of the death of Satan in Eden, right? 9 months after he sinned with Adam and Eve or so, right? Within the first year, right? My theory is, right? Based on Moses' theory, right? Within a year after he ate of Adam's fruit, right? And fed Adam his seed, right? In his buttocks region, right? uh, he had a child or a daughter with Adam, right? That's also who Cain and Abel were fighting over, right? When Abel slew Cain, right? And she became his wife, right?
Variation on the defense against a gun attack. So again, the attack comes from behind.
Oops, sorry.
Attack. This next technique deals with an attack from the side with a gun. This next technique is a variation of the defense from gun attack from the side. Again, this next technique involves a variation on the defense of a gun attack from behind. This next technique is a defense of a gun attack from the front. This next technique is defense against a cross wrist grip. Your opponent reaches.
I just get a little.
Yes.
All right, this one is with the club again, right? I'm having the it kind of jumped with the DVD there, right? So I'm having to back it up a little bit, right?
Stomach and a punch to the face before returning to the ready stand. This next technique is an advanced defense against a straight punch. So again, you're in your ready stance, straight punch comes, you're going to do a right outside block and trap. What you want to do here, this next technique is a variation on the advanced defense against a punch. In this case, the attacker's going to throw a left punch. So we're going to.
Now, like I said, though, remember he's